Hope everything works well with the connection. So I will start with the presentation now. Let me just share my screen, and we start with that. Good. So basically, my talk will be about how we can improve the automotive business by shifting right and integrating basically the BSOC together with the development part. We've done this talk together with Mikhail Frankel, our Argos VP product. Unfortunately, she couldn't join. She apologizes, but she had an emergency, medical emergency. So I will do it alone. Basically, I will start by speaking a bit about Argos, who we are, and why we are in the market. So we currently have more than 65 million vehicles that will be secured with Argos technology starting 2021 across 35 production projects and with 16 different manufacturers. We have roughly 200 employees with offices across the globe in Korea, Japan, Germany, France, and US. We invested so far more than 1,000 man-years in Argos Technologies and research, and we have more than 70 granted and pending automotive cybersecurity patents. Our goal is to reduce the cybersecurity cost and complexity by providing reusable software and direct OEM engagement. We have seamless integration across the product portfolio for different ECUs. And we have automotive grade ASIL-B ready, and we are developing in alignment with the ASPICE Level 2 requirements. We, of course, have also partnerships with leading industry players like NXP, Marvell on the in-vehicle side, and with Microsoft and Amazon on the cloud side. I will start by explaining a bit the automotive mega trends, and all of them need to consider cyber implications, trying to give a bit of an overview of what is currently happening in the automotive business. So we clearly see the autonomous driving as a mega trend, and the implications are that they bring with them the complex and safety relevant software and high performance computers. So this means that 64% of the customers would switch OEMs for a better autonomous driving capabilities. And of course, we know, and as I also discussed last year, that the autonomous driving comes with huge implications and the combination of safety and security, because you cannot have safety products without having a secure product, especially when the car is on the road. Then another mega trend is related to connectivity, and it's clear that you need to have performant in-vehicle networks. So now that's why we see the shift to Ethernet, over-the-air updates to be able to react to potential software issues, to activate new features, and to fix potential vulnerabilities. And with this comes also the cybersecurity implication. And we know already from this study that 95% of new vehicles sold in 2030 will be connected. The trend is the electrification, and this clearly adds a new electrical package that, of course, might be at risk if someone really wants to hack into the car. It has new powertrain applications, and from what we learn with this mega trend is that 53% of the new vehicles sold in Europe could be electrical vehicles, and this includes, of course, the plug-in hybrid, the fuel cell EVs, and so on. Another mega trend is about shared mobility, and this for sure is requesting for features for individualization, and this comes together again with security implications, bringing risks for the personal data, and with keyless entry, which again brings another risk of being able to completely hack a fleet that is shared. And basically, 2 out of 3 of the US customers expect their shared mobility usage will increase over the next 2 years. And we can see this with the big cities across the world, where we see everywhere all the scooters, all the cars that can be used without any problems. And you can unlock them with the phone. All these cars are still based on old architectures that, of course, share the risks of cybersecurity. Now, what I will speak and where I will focus today in this presentation is more about the disconnect that we currently see between the tier ones and the car manufacturers and the IT operational teams. We will try to propose a framework for integrating the two worlds, the IT and the automotive world. And I will also detail the integration proposal for enabling collaboration between the development and the operational teams. And I will start with the status quo, with the typical security organization that currently, let's assume that they are doing their best, and they are already performing penetration testing. On the other side, on the IT side, they already have a vehicle security operation center. So basically, most OEMs and tier ones are currently performing penetration testing for vehicles and connected ECUs. From what we see, fuzzing is mostly done at the interface and black box level. We see clearly a trend of trying to add software fuzzing like the one that Code Intelligence is providing. But currently, most of the OEMs are focusing on the interface and black box level. Then vulnerabilities that are discovered as part of the private penetration testings are currently, from what we see in the industry, not integrated with the VSOC solutions. And they mainly help the development teams for fixing the products before the start of production of the vehicle. Then on the other side, on the IT side, the vehicle security operations centers, we see that the majority of OEMs are preparing to have the vehicle security operations, but full continuous integration, continuous development up to the VSOC integration is still not planned. And this is clearly a pillar that could be better used. But this is currently the status quo. The vehicle vulnerability management solutions like the digital twin or ECU software and hardware replica, however you would like to call it, they are in general not planned to be integrated by the OEMs inside the VSOC. We've seen different cases, but in most of them, we see also here a disconnect, and we see that also this part of the checking is mostly focusing on the development side and not to the operation side. So now I think everybody that is working in automotive is aware of the V model and the solutions for the secure products. But here I would like a bit to go into the details of what are the different tools that can be applied. And this would already be an organization that is doing all what is needed for ensuring a secure product. So if you start from the left, from the upper side with the requirements analysis, you can have cybersecurity and architecture design planning to achieve that. Then you need to do the system design, and for that you need to perform a threat analysis and risk assessment. It can be done by using a tool. This can be done by manual work. Then you need to have the architecture design to make sure that all the product is secured. Then you can do the component design. And here already, if you want to introduce security in the products, you need to have the intrusion detection protection systems, and you can already define the rule set and to have the configurations. And then when it comes to the implementation side, it's clear that already at this stage, you need to have a software fuzzing that is integrated in the CI/CD, communicating with GitHub, having it run on the nightly builds, having it run at least on the hardware builds, on the weekly builds. The next part is about the component testing, and here is the part where ideally you will have a fuzzing tool for the real hardware, and here ideally you can use software fuzzing results to validate them as part of the component testing, by validating whatever is discovered as part of the software checking, by checking if they really happen on the testing bench. Then, of course, the next step is the integration testing, where you can add on top the penetration testing, and that will allow you to see the whole system, how it's behaving, and to double check again if the findings from the fuzzing or from the component testing are being confirmed. The last step would be the system test, where you can also validate the network validation. You can perform the network validation, and you can do this at, for example, at the vehicle level. And the last step would be the acceptance test, where the manufacturer can really check that whatever that you claim that you can provide is really performed and in a secure way. And here you have the connections with the operations, where currently there are several solutions that can be implemented, like vulnerability management, like fleet protection, and of course everything need to be enhanced and enriched with the threat intelligence by checking what are the vulnerabilities that are really exploited out there, and that will allow a good focus on fixing them. So this is that would say would be the ideal situation for fulfilling the V model and having a secure product. And still, this is not currently enough, because the part of the vulnerabilities that are coming from the CI/CD are not automatically integrated. And basically, this is coming purely from organization causes, and it's just because there are different teams that are doing this. So basically, what we see as generating drawbacks is, if you keep the CI and CD and the VSOC separate, you will for sure slow down the process of CVE reporting that might be found with the fuzzing. This will leave the VSOC teams blind against zero-day vulnerabilities that would otherwise could pop up directly from the CI/CD in the first in the vehicle vulnerability management, and the ones that are really confirmed in the VSOC. This is also not allowing to test attacks that are detected on the fleets using the CI/CD environment, because whatever is discovered on the real fleet takes a lot of time before they arrive back to the CI/CD for being confirmed. This also doesn't allow a fast enough update for the IDPS rule set, because findings can be easily used to update the rule set and improve the overall protection. So currently, because of the different processes that are in the supply chain, it would probably take from weeks to months to update such a rule set, because of how long this process is taking. And this is also not allowing to fully use the threat intelligence capabilities also as part of the CI/CD, because even if you see that some vulnerabilities are exploited in the wild, this only stay as part of the VSOC operation, as part of the vehicle vulnerability management, but they are not fed back to the software so that they can be easily updated and fixed. So basically, what we are proposing as solutions, we think that integrating the current solutions and making them communicate using the CI/CD just as a different data source for the VSOC could solve such a problem. Then the feedback of the alerts that are discovered with the VSOC to the CI/CD environment will allow product improvements in a mostly automated way. And the use of the threat intelligence to allow prioritization for both VSOC teams that are mitigating the threats and the R&D teams that are updating the IDPS products. Now, explaining a bit how this would work, we will start from the top now, so not as you would typically use the V model. So just imagine that the vulnerability management and the fleet protection here are communicating between them. So you would feed the public CVEs and the threat intelligence to the vulnerability management. You would feed whatever data you are collecting from the fleet protection and also do the vulnerability management. You need to have, of course, a process permission manager that is allowing this. And then you are again capable of doing the same. Whatever you find, you can check them again as part of the system test. You can use the automated tools for network validation to verify them. If they are being discovered, or if you need additional investigations, they can be moved to the integration test for doing penetration testing or validating whatever you checked as part of the penetration testing. They can go even more to the component test. And here already they can be automated and really checked. So all the tests that are being done typically using fuzzing tools or using the software fuzzing integrated in the CI/CD, they can you can purely update the test that you are performing then immediately, and you can really check in real time the implementation and correct it. So this can be done in two different ways, either by just modifying the software, so updating basically if there are software bugs, they are just being updated, or if, for example, the software is coming from a third-party provider that is not able to fix it, using that also the intrusion detection rule set configuration that is then deployed in the vehicle can be updated. And again, everything can follow the same process to get there. So that's clearly an improvement. And this for sure will be enhanced by the communication between the software fuzzing that is integrated in the CI/CD, the fuzzing tool that can validate this on the actual hardware, and then pushed back along the supply chain to the fleets. And this allows then to have vulnerability detected in CI/CD with fuzzing immediately checked and highlighted for the fleet protection. The attacks from the fleet protection can be validating using the CI/CD environment, and then the IDPS rule set can be updated. And of course, the threat intelligence ensures the right prioritization, because sometimes it can happen that there are just too many vulnerabilities for some libraries that are being used. But then the threat intelligence can help in this direction by pointing to the ones that are really exploited in the wild and allowing the tier ones and the OEMs to do the right prioritization. So this is in general the proposal. The next slide is showing a bit about how this data can really be used. And I know it's a full slide, but it's typically because it adds several pillars for threat monitoring and reaction. And here we will need to start from the top, focusing on the assets and the asset sources. So basically in vehicle, you have all the TCUs, all the ACUs, Ethernet, and CAN that are collecting the logs. Typically for that, we need the DBC of the CAN, the AirXML for the Ethernet, SBOM extracts to know exactly the software versions that are inside. And then external with mobile apps, with mobility services, and here you can integrate the logs, the files, and the API. And just imagine that all what is coming here is coming together with checked vulnerabilities, with CVEs that are updated in real time to all the different dashboards. And then you have different pillars for data sources that are being checked, that are being analyzed, that are being then presented as dashboards. And let's take the several examples. So telematics, you have the data source of telematics, you can filter them, you can analyze them, you can do events correlations. And with telematics, imagine that you can discover all the different vehicles that have their, I don't know, some features that are being activated without having the right. This can be discovered, and you can then detect the fraud, and you can publish it in the dashboard. In the upper part, with the playbooks and best practices that such a product can provide, you can have the mitigation and remediation. So basically detecting such a fraud and highlighting it as part of the OEM fleet management. The second part is about vulnerabilities. So what I was just explaining before, with vulnerabilities that are monitored from different sources. So either CI/CD, either private vulnerabilities that are being discovered as penetration testing, or from the CVs that are published. All of this can be then analyzed and perform a trend analysis from them. Of course, they can be presented as part of the dashboards with alerts, with reports. And then, of course, you can add to that playbooks. And I think the easiest example is that you can then identify what libraries or what software has a vulnerability, and then you can push a software update to just fix it. Another one is about threat intelligence data that can again be aggregated, and you can detect using that different anomalies. And you can again present them and implement playbooks using best practices. All these 2 points, the vulnerabilities and threat intelligence data, can be integrated, and they are for sure enhanced if you are feeding them with CI/CD data. The last one is basically real-time events from the onboard, so basically coming from the vehicles. So whatever you can discover with the intrusion detection system from the TCUs, from the ECUs, from all the different vehicles, can be immediately shown as part of the the dashboards that can be provided. They can be clustered, and they can be then identified if certain areas of the fleet, all the vehicles that are in a certain area can be attacked. And then again, you can react by pushing again configuration updates to limit the impact on the fleet. So this is basically what the threat monitoring and reaction can achieve, and where, of course, enhancing with different data from telematics, from vulnerabilities that are being collected from different sources, performing the prioritization based on the threat intelligence data, and then correlating it with the real-time events from the onboard can be of use for protecting the fleet.